Hello everyone, and welcome to our new episode of the Expat Career And Lifestyle podcast. This is Dominika, your host, and today I have a very special guest with me, Panagiota Pimenidou. She's a chemical engineer, lecturer at the University of Bradford, and she is originally from Greece, but she has been living in the UK for 13 years. She's also the founder of Global Greek Influence podcast. And today with Panagiota, we are going to speak about her international experience, her challenges, and about international life. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Dominika, for accepting me in your beautiful podcast. Thank you very much.
I am really happy to have you. Thank you for accepting the invitation. So please tell us more about your own international experience, how you started, and how did you move from sunny Greece to the rainy UK?
It all started actually not just 13 years ago, but more than 20 years ago when I first moved to the UK to study chemical engineering. After graduating, I was just 22 years old and moved back to Greece, and soon realized I was very keen in an academic career. Mm-hmm. So the next move was to pursue a PhD. That was quite difficult at that time in Greece because I was a graduate from the UK. It wasn't very easy to access and network within Greek universities. So what was left to me to do was to start exploring my options in the UK to get a PhD scholarship. And this is when I was back in the UK. Mm-hmm. Back in January 2007. After finishing my PhD in January 2010, that was well before the financial crisis broke in Greece. But I made a conscious decision to stay in the UK and maybe gain more experience in the academic area of research and of the universities before I would even consider moving back to Greece. The truth is that I always had in mind to return in Greece, and as the years go by, this idea grows bigger in me. It was very difficult to make that decision, even though back then, before I moved for the second time back in 2007 to the UK, I didn't really have anything that I would consider as holding me back, especially in my personal life. Even though it was very hard to leave my country, yet I didn't have such an emotional connection to a special person to further consider my move. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I realized that while one is younger, one can make more conscious decisions, and these decisions come out more naturally, easier, as we tend to be more adventurous when we are younger compared to when we grow older. When we grow older, we look more for stability and growth rather than an adventure.
Yes, I think that's true, because I also moved many times during my international journey, and it was easier for me to move when I was like 18 or 19 years old than later when I was in my late 30s. It was a little bit harder to take this decision and to move, and the challenges also were different. So, because you moved, the main reason that you moved was your career, academic career. So, from this perspective, what do you think are like the main, what were your challenges or still are your challenges when it comes to living abroad and also like developing your career abroad, academic career also abroad?
Well, just based on my experience, and I'm not generalizing here, but the way I see things, I was not the person who would easily connect with people. So I would have had maybe a similar challenge in Greece compared to here. The only additional reason of maybe feeling being connected more to people here would be the language. Sometimes the way I think might not come out as what I'm actually thinking. Whereas in your own language, communication is easier. But even though communication is based on language, there are so many other different parameters of communication that might affect effective communication. This might also have to do with a person's character. So in my case, even though I'm quite sociable, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too much out loud, and I don't really process my thinking as much. And sometimes maybe my opinions come out a little bit harsh, I would say, which is quite an open admission, I would say, now in public. So everyone knows now. But definitely there are not bad intentions, but it's more of a character and a personality issue. And maybe this resonates also in networking, which is very important in the progression of my academic career. But at the same time, it might also be a case of meeting like-minded people. So in my case, maybe because of my communication style, it's not as easy to find like-minded people. Many might think that an academic career is a lonely journey. It's not. It should be based on teamwork. And it's very important to build the right team to progress. And it's similar in the personal life. I want to have a good team of people who surround me, and I'm part of that team. In general, I would say that when I was younger, I thought I could do it just by myself very well without really interacting as much with people because we might have different opinions. But as I grow older, I realized that it's okay to have people around you with different opinions as long as you have the same or similar goals.
Yeah, so like having a team or creating like a support group. So this, like, is this helping you or did help you like to overcome this communication challenge, or did you do something more? What else did you do like to overcome this communication? Which is challenging for everyone who is moving abroad and who is like developing a career or starting a business, because you are communicating in a completely different culture and language. So what to do like to overcome it?
I would say that practice makes perfect. The more you interact with people, the more reflection I had on how my communication impacted people. So I could realize when my ideas were not coming across correctly. And then I was thinking of different ways of expressing myself or of putting the right words in the right order and increase this sense of connection with the people I work with or with the people I am with. I mean, in my personal life. So I would say the more interaction a person has, but then also the quiet times to reflect on those interactions, the better these communications get. It's part of what might call in a different area of study as personal growth. I think this is what personal growth is all about, to understand ourselves and then to understand people around us. and through this synergy to find the best communication possible between the receiver and the giver and vice versa within a conversation or within a team. And everything is in life, I would say, is give and take. Definitely we're going to, I have met people that felt more like receivers than givers. And then it's a matter of exploring further options or trying to communicate differently and make things work out. Yes, it's a balance. And I wouldn't say that I'm the best diplomat or I'm the best negotiator in that sense. So I just try my best. I just put a conscious daily effort in communicating better my ideas.
Yeah, I think this is important, like in every career, and like understanding also your communication style and how you can improve it to be like more understood by different communities or people from different countries. So other challenge that I see, like in the international community, sometimes sometimes you feel like very much motivated at the beginning when you are moving abroad, or your motivation can be very low because things are not going as you wanted, or you had like different expectations about your life or your career abroad. So how to like keep, or how you are keeping your motivation up? Because I know, like from because you moved from Greece, which is a beautiful country, and UK also, it's a beautiful country, but it's completely different. So sometimes it can be hard to keep your motivation up. Yeah. So what did you do? What are you doing?
Well, regarding the first part of your question, my case was that when I moved abroad, I was highly motivated. It was a conscious decision, especially the second time I moved abroad to start my PhD, and it was well planned. So since I had already had in mind my plan and I had the motivation in making this move, everything was perfect at the beginning. Other people might feel the need to move to another country because they have to, because of their financial position or because of maybe a political situation in a country. So it's completely different in the sense of what is the initial motivation that made you think of moving to a different country. In my case, it was a conscious decision, well planned, and everything was very good at the beginning. Then once I finished my PhD, I moved from that sense of being a freelance researcher without really having to do that many things that an academic does. I shifted to the academics professional lifestyle, which over the years changed in the UK. In the UK, largely, the academia has become teaching focused, which means that it's mostly about the satisfaction of students regarding the program they attend. So it doesn't mean that I always was highly motivated. I hit rock bottom many times, and it was very hard for me to start seeing again what was still good there for me. And of course, many times I thought of quitting and moved to a different job, and then I felt at loss, thinking, yeah, but this is what I used to do for that many years. If I'm going to do something entirely different, where do I start from? And then I started to look into the areas I haven't really explored much in my career, or the ones that were significant for me to continue having this career. Becoming an academic, in most of the cases, regards research. So it's what keeps us alive. It's the challenge. It's the challenge of finding something new, an area that has never been explored before. So because I didn't have that big of a network, I started to think, okay, what should I do to meet more like-minded people? So I started to reach out to people. At the beginning, it sounded to me a little bit crazy in the sense that some other academics in other areas, in other universities, or even in other countries might think, okay, is she out of her mind? How on earth does she contact us to do that without really knowing her? But then I realized that there are many people out there who are open to new ideas and that we shouldn't really hesitate reaching out. So what I've learned out of trying to motivate myself is always to reach out for help. We think that it's not easy or other people might judge us, but I would say that was the most important lesson I had for being motivated. When you have, again, it's about the teams. When you have a team around you, a team of people that inspires you, that can give you feedback on things that you're struggling with, things can get easier. And then you're not really internalizing all these fears that you might even have professionally. You have a team with which you can find out solutions. So it's a matter of reaching out sometimes and not just internalize the thoughts of, yeah, I have not done as much as I could, or I have not reached my goals yet, even after having a career of 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, so it's like once again, it's important to create like a support group around you, and asking for help. It's very important, but sometimes it's not easy, especially for people who are living abroad and moving. But it's a very important thing to ask for help. So because you were like clear about your goals and what was your goal moving abroad. But what can you say, for example, to someone who is not clear about his or her goal? How can we clarify what we want from our international experience?
In most of the cases, and even just by thinking this question for myself, I would say that people are not clear when they feel uncertain. So uncertainty is an important factor. It's the unknown. And then I would say it's about prioritizing our needs. What is important to us? So if it is about the career and we objectively see that we can have a better career by exploration or by just searching for what's out there for us. And if we think our number one priority in life at a specific point in time is career, then this uncertainty will be cleared out. Everything will become certain. Now, nobody can really tell what the future holds, but it's always a good starting point to think of what really matters right at this moment, in order to identify what is the best motive to make a move, to live abroad. And so it's a matter of priorities, being clear and about what matters most at this moment in time, because you cannot really project into the future and think how we might feel or think in 2 or 3 years' time, or even in 2 months' time. So I would say once we feel sure about it, about our decision, based on our priorities in life, I think we should just move on without overthinking about it.
Yeah, I think also that like overthinking, this can stop many of us, like when it comes to taking decisions or like exploring what are your options when it comes to career or moving abroad. So it is important to be focused, like you said, on what is the most important thing for you right now, and yeah, what are your motives to move, but overthinking can really stop us. So because like living abroad sometimes can get really like challenging, and also it can be messy because there are like a lot of things to do. So and you can feel like out of your balance. So what is your experience with that, and how to have like a balanced international or expat life?
Again, when it comes to me personally, I would, when I feel out of balance, I would try to reach a safe place to find this balance again, something very close to my core values or to who I really am, just to remind myself of who I am and what really matters to me. This might involve maybe a short trip to see me back to Greece, or maybe a weekend seeing friends, and just forget about what really worries me, just to focus on myself. And then after that short break, I'm going back to find any solutions.
Yeah, so it's like finding your own way, let's say, to come back, like reconnecting with yourself, and then coming back to your balance. Yeah, so this sounds because you are a chemical engineer, and I also know that you have a passion for spirituality, that you see yourself as a spiritual person, and also you love reading historical books, novels, and also traveling. So how do you because like being a chemical engineer, like for me it's a very practical thing. So how do you like combine spirituality and being a chemical engineer? How do you combine those two passions, let's say?
Well, sometimes I combine them and sometimes I keep them separate. So spirituality mainly is affecting my personal life, even when it comes to professional matters, because at the end of the day, things that happen creates feelings to us. And then what I'm left with is with feelings after work. So I have to find a way of reflecting on those feelings and again find my balance. When it comes to work, because as you said, it's very practical, well, sometimes it's about the communication style that is affected by spirituality, even when I speak to colleagues. I don't know, I'm a very ethical person, ethical not in the sense of morals, but I'm a very fair person, and I try to bring this fairness or even this ethics, even through teaching. So I'm not just going in the classroom or in a lecture theater just to talk about reaction engineering or chemical thermodynamics. Sometimes I make a link to professional life based on a coursework, or I'm trying to connect dots between knowledge and skills. Of course, I don't go as deep as in spirituality as I would during my in my personal life, but I try to add a few elements, even though chemical engineering is far from the social sciences field.
Yeah, so you can keep those passions like separately, and you can also like combine them in your work. So I like this, that you can connect also and connect the dots. Yes.
It's
So
healing in a sense. Like if my combat field is chemical engineering, then when I come out of it, I need some healing. So I need something completely different on the other side of the spectrum, because I'm also human. And I need to find this balance. So even though these two areas might seem to be at the extremes of the spectrum, still I find great support in spirituality.
Yeah, so it's like creating this additional support for your passions. Um, so like, what do you enjoy the most in your international, or what do you like the most of your international experience?
It brings a sense of independence
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't feel back in Greece for some reason, even though uh, it's the idea of living back to Greece feels cozy.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I'm pretty sure that I would miss many of the elements of my life here abroad. I would say that definitely the society here is more open to new ideas,
Mm-hmm.
whereas in Greece it's a little bit more traditional. But then at the end of the day, Greece is also a small country. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say the biggest the society is the easiest the spread of ideas might be. I also enjoy, even though some people might think that order is not a way of freedom, it's
Mm-hmm.
not an expression of freedom. I think the ordered system in the UK gives me the freedom that I haven't had in Greece,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that I can find solutions easily, or I know where are these places where I can find solutions in my everyday life that makes my life easier. So in that sense, because I have easier access to many things that are placed in order, make my life much easier on a daily basis. And that system also ensures that there is some transparency. So then you feel when you leave from work that things are in order and that there are systems in place that can ensure you when you go back to work the following day it will be the same, that you'll not have to be bothered about something changing unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Greece you might find that many decisions are made on a personal level outside the system. Even though there is a system in place, the system doesn't really work. It's not operated in a sense in Greece. So one might think, okay, are these really the reasons you think about as being beneficial living abroad? Yes, trust me, if you lived in a country where you would fight for being heard or for being rewarded for what you're worth,
Mm-hmm.
yes, they're very important to me. And then at the same time, there are other aspects, for example, definitely the financial aspects. Now, if one asks me what would be the image of myself as being happy, I would tell you just sitting at a beach and enjoy the sun. This would be my blissful moment. I can get that. It's not my everyday life, but well, if I was in Greece, I would do this more often. Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
this wouldn't be my everyday life, but I would do this more often. Um, I think that as humans, we have different personalities, and many Greeks might not think the way I think because we're different characters. So at the end of the day, it's what is most important to us. So, and oh yes, the most important thing of living abroad, I think because of all this, of the environment I live in, I developed more personally, at a personal level than I would have been in Greece, because it would be living, if I would still live in Greece, it would be a safe place, a safe space, and maybe I wouldn't challenge myself as much to grow. I think being in a different environment maybe sometimes challenges you to see clearly what really matters to you, or if you have any matters to resolve for yourself. So your reflection is clearer, and the challenge is there, and you have to face it because you don't have this noise of the coziness and the safeness around you.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's like pushing yourself out of your of your comfort, of your of the safe place, like being at home. Yeah, I agree with that, and also with that in the UK, like you have like more opportunities to develop your ideas, and they are open like to your ideas and the order. Yeah, that's there is a system that like makes everything easier for you. So I agree with that. Like based on my experience living in the UK. Yeah. So, what would you advise to someone who is just moving abroad, or is thinking about moving abroad?
Um, I would say that the most important thing, because I don't know each person's ideas or the motives behind moving abroad, I would say that to have a good support system, not only for the beginning, but also during their life, during the years they will live abroad. Not that they might need it, but the support system might not necessarily be about people. It might be about being clear of the reasons for being abroad, and to feel certain and secure with their choice. And of course, not to be afraid to be challenged.
Mm. Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you very much, Panagiota, for your for this beautiful interview. So tell us, where can we find more information about you? And I also know that you have just started a fantastic new podcast, Global Greek Influence. So tell us more about that, and also any other projects that you have for the future.
Well, my main activities are still in the academia, so people can find me through my university's email or through LinkedIn. When it comes to the podcast itself, Global Greek Influence, as I've been living abroad for 13 years, I thought it was a great way of, because I started to reflect back to my journey. And I thought, okay, there's so many other Greeks who have left Greece over the past 10 years, who live abroad. And I want them to speak out and share their stories about their successes, about their failures, how they dealt with all these things living abroad. And the common denominator is, of course, the common background. And since there are many Greeks living abroad these days, the audience, the Greeks who live abroad, might find it beneficial to listen to those stories, and who knows, maybe even contact these people if they're interested in what they do. So it might create a great platform also of networking.
Fantastic. So thank you very much for sharing that. I will put the link to the podcast with the show notes, so people can go and check it. So once again, thank you very much for being with us today. And thank you very much for listening or watching. If you are watching the video version of this interview, please tell us what are your thoughts, what are your learning points, and I will be back soon with another fantastic guest. So thank you very much again. Thank you, Panagiota. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominika, for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome.